Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week we will be talking about tattoos and we'll have a good laugh about who might you think? This girl right here, yeah. We'll look at the tattoos I would have gotten as a teen that I don't have, but I would have liked to get. Are you ready? First off, just a little disclaimer, this video is not to laugh at anybody who would have gotten any of these tattoos or something that looks like these tattoos. A lot of these tattoos are actually kind of great if you still like the idea later on. Some are kind of bad, but some are good. Some could be nice tattoos and you could not regret it, but it's just the ideas that I had as a teen that finally I'm not that much into anymore, and that was a better idea not getting them. The place I was going to get my piercings, for example, I started getting piercings at 16 and they refused. They just refused you if you were underage, so you could not get a tattoo before 18, which is actually a good thing. And I didn't have much money either when I was a teen, so I could not really get big pieces or anything, which is also a good thing, because when you're a teen, you're still discovering yourself, discovering your interests. Many of those interests you'll see in the video stayed, but many of them changed as well, and some ideas are not things I would actually like to get on my body and would most likely need to laser off, which is more painful and time consuming. So, and also I think everybody who's gotten tattoos has had at one point or the other a mistake. Not having any mistakes, mishaps, tattoo mishaps is a privilege, pretty rare, but when you go early on in your life, sometimes when you go for your first tattoos, you don't have as much judgment as when you grow older or when you get more tattoos and more experience. So not to laugh at anybody who's had any tattoo mishaps, of course. We'll start with one that was later in my teens, maybe at about, I think I was 17 or 18 when I wanted that, because it was all the rage. I saw that on Pinterest. I saw a tattoo of black flying birds. Yeah, you know the type of tattoo I'm talking about. This a lot of girls gotten this tattoo. You know, it will heal weird and it will not look like this forever. It will look like just blobs of black in the future. And fortunately, I thought about it, I researched on it, I wanted it for a while, but then a lot of people said that it will not look good in the future. So I'm really happy that I haven't gotten that, because I would have been stuck, because I wanted it here. I would have gotten this here and I would still have that for the rest of my life. So probably eventually I would have it covered up or something. So would not have been a good choice. And it was a trend also at a certain point. I think it was in 2010, something like that it was a trend, and it's not that much of a trend right now. So tattoo trends, avoid those, well, as much as possible. Next one, we're gonna go really back in time. This is one of the biggest pieces I wanted for a long time, and it was a sleeve. You know, well, a half sleeve. You know, I got one right now and you've seen it. I put an image here of what the half sleeve is. Really colorful, beautiful. I still wanted to go to a good tattoo artist, but what I wanted was a succubus. Really different from what I got, which is like goddess, beautiful goddess. But in the time, what I wanted was a succubus. And I wanted a succubus with a big hair and like a Victorian style, with very sharp teeth, which would be very aggressive. And I mean, you see me, you see sometimes I can be a bit gothy, but most of the time I'm really colorful, and I can be a bit edgy, but I dress in like in yellow and green and all these colors, and I'm really a colorful person. So if I would have had a sleeve of a succubus, not being goth forever, because I was goth for a while, maybe I would have regretted actually. So this, I wanted that for a couple of years, at about 15, 16, 17 years old, and then the plan changed, and when I was major a couple of years after I got that. So I'm really happy of the choice I made, and I don't regret my half sleeve at all. I love the half sleeve, colorful half sleeve I've got, and my colorful tattoos, and that's what I'm going for. So if you have got a really dark tattoo, of course I'm not laughing at anything, any choice you've made. If you're really goth and you're into that and you love it, good for you. But for me, it was not the right choice, because I did not stay very gothy forever. Would not have been a very good choice for me. Next one is around that period as well. It was, I wanted a Satada. Do you know Satada? Who knows that? Who knows? Ronan Dex. Do you know Ronan Dex? Who knows that? It's from Stargate Atlantis. Who knows that? Okay, let me show you. This is vintage. Okay, it will tell you my age, but yeah, a DVD of Stargate Atlantis. I was a real fan of this show, and I still love, actually I love sci-fi. I'm more into Star Wars and Mass Effect right now, those days, but in this era I was into that show that was airing. I loved the character of Ronan Dex. I thought he was really nice. So I was a fan of Jason Momoa before Jason Momoa was really known. It was one of, I think it was pretty much his first appearance in a bigger series before he's done bigger movies. So yeah, I was a fan of him before everyone else. Bit hipster, edgy type of, who cares, okay? Anyway, I'm not that much of a fan either. I just think he's really handsome, like everybody does. And his characters was actually pretty nice. He was just a fighter, not speaking much, but you know, the type of character that he plays. And the tattoo, it's actually not a real tattoo on him. It's from his planet. I think it's a military tattoo. I actually don't even remember the story, because it's been so long I have watched the show that I don't even remember. So I guess if I would have gotten a tattoo, I would still remember what it is exactly, but I don't remember. So that's pretty funny. If I would have gotten a tattoo because I was fan of a show at a point, but then I would maybe have forgotten about what it means. I guess if I would have had the tattoo, I would have made sure I remember what it means. But pretty happy I've not gotten this. If I remember well, I did not want the tattoo at the same place. I wanted the tattoo on my wrist. Still, I want a full sleeve. I wanted to go back up to there. So now I'm thinking about maybe even erasing that tattoo I have here. So it would have not been a very good choice, because in the future I would have wanted it to be lasered off, and also for all that time everybody would have asked me what it means, because you know, when you get a tattoo on your hands or very visible, people will ask you what it means. People tell me, are you a musician? All the time, out of nowhere. Sometimes I was working with clients and they were talking to me about music, and I was like, why are you talking to me about music? One, how do you know I like music that much? How do you know I play guitar sometimes? Oh, I have a tattoo about it. Yeah, you sometimes remember you have tattoos. Next one is still around the same era. I don't know, I had a lot of ideas at this age. It's still the case actually. It's always been the case, but I had a lot of brand new ideas because I just discovered what tattoos are and liked it. And so the next tattoo I wanted to get was a tattoo of, it's a poem from Tolkien. yeah, it's pretty geeky, and I still love Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, and I'm waiting for the next show, Rings of Power, and I've read the books, all that stuff. But I would have gotten an Elvish Tattoo. It's an Elvish poem it's called A Elbereth Giltoniel. I hope I pronounce it well. I don't speak Elvish. One other thing, I don't really speak Elvish. And you know, I love Tolkien, but yeah, I don't speak Elvish. It would have been like a glimpse of a poem. I think I wanted a part of the poem and another part of the poem, which was sounding great. I think it was A Elberet Giltoniel Silivren Penamiriel Fanuelos Lelinathon. That's what I wanted. So it means O Elberet Star Kindler, wide glittering, slanting down, sparkling like a jewel. To thee ever white I will sing. One of the thing at the time that was the case, I was actually putting makeup to look really pale, and I loved looking pale because I was goth, so I loved not seeing the sun, and well, I love to go outside, but I remember putting long sleeves and boots and stuff like that in the middle of summer. What I was doing. And I loved looking very pale, which is not something I care about now. I protect myself from the sun with sunscreen, but I love to go out and have a little tan. It's not my aesthetics anymore. It's a very beautiful poem, to be honest, and I don't think I would regret having gotten it. I wanted it on my foot. Now I have very nice feet tattoos that I'm gonna show you in a future video, and I'm really happy of what I've got. And I wouldn't have gotten what I have right now if I had done what I had done previously, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if I would have regretted it that much, but with time, it doesn't have that much of a significance to me as it used to. I still love Tolkien, so I don't think I would have lasered it off, and it wouldn't be ugly or anything. But I'm just happy I haven't got it, because I don't see myself with it anymore. Next one will stay on the feet. And I don't know how the hell I thought that this was a good idea, but I wanted an anonymous mask. Yeah, Guy Fawkes mask with lilies around it on my foot. First off, impossible. It's just not possible. Too much details. You cannot get that much detail on such small feet as I have. Which is one thing. I didn't know about tattoos back then much, so I didn't know that it was a bit too much for a foot. Why I wanted it, it was because of political reasons. It would have been a big political statement, and I'm pretty happy I do not have any political statements on me, because I prefer when people speak to me and get to know my political views by speaking to me and not by looking at me and seeing my tattoos. It can also be a professional mistake if you have a very political tattoo on a place that is very visible. If you try to get hired for a job, then it can get tricky. Of course, it's nothing racist or anything like that. It's not a Nazi symbol or anything weird, but still, it's because at the time, Anonymous was all the rage. We used to love the ethical hacking, still love this concept, but I'm not that much of a fan of the group Anonymous. They've done very weird things with time, so they've done good things and bad things, and I'm not that much of a fan of them. So I would have gotten an anonymous tattoo and would have definitely regretted it. Definitely. It's not a symbol that attracts me anymore. Okay, it's a mask. It was all the rage when V for Vendetta was a movie, was coming out and all, and Anonymous was new, and people liked it, but I don't identify myself to that kind of rebel. That was me when I was younger, but I don't identify myself with that anymore. The lilies was because of where I come from. So if you know, I am from Quebec. My accent is French Canadian from Quebec, so Québécois, and I was really patriotic at the time. My parents were for independence of Quebec, if you want to research on the topic, you can go and read history about Quebec if you'd like. But we're a French colony in an English Canada, so we're the French province of Canada. And there was a very big independentist movement back, well, at least more than 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, which was something my parents were more into and I was into at the time. I'm still not against it, but I still love Canada and I'm not that much into that issue anymore. So I don't want to get too political, but yeah, I'm more attracted into anti-racism, anti-sexism, LGBTQ issues nowadays than independence of Quebec. So that's one thing. And getting a very patriotic lilies is on our flag, just so you know. So getting the lilies would have been a very big statement for me. Of course, the way I wanted it this way was, I think it was a better idea than the second idea I'm gonna talk to you about. But this is more subtle. People can not know that it's related to independence of Quebec or anything like that. So for future purposes, getting this, well, I couldn't have gotten this on my foot, first things first, because it's too big. But yeah, people wouldn't have known. That leads us to another tattoo I wanted a bit before the one I just talked to you about, before I had this idea of a more subtle lily. It was a very obvious lily on literally the symbol, royal symbol, which is on our flag, on my neck. And this is actually something that a lot of women have here in Quebec, and even some men as well. I've seen a lot of women having this on their neck or on their shoulders. It's mostly women in their 40s, 50s that have lived the referendums and have lived this history. The last referendum for independence of Quebec, I was 3 years old. So I was there, but let's just say I was not there, okay? So I was not really part of the movement. We've had what's left of it, and there's still people really fighting strong for the independence, but it went really under the rug nowadays as an issue. I'm still a lot for the preservation of French. As you see, I speak English on here, so I'm really both languages at the same time. My main language is French. I speak French all the time and I want to preserve the language, of course, but I'm also Anglophone in a way. I live in a city where it's French and English, so I mean, I don't feel that much attracted to this issue as I used to be. I don't want anybody to be like, she's for this, she's against that. It's not something I want to talk about today. I don't want you to think, oh, I'm pro-Canadian, I'm pro-Quebec. I don't mind what you're thinking of this, of my political views. Yeah, that's one thing, is that if you have a tattoo on that we see a lot and is political, people are gonna assume things about you, people are gonna talk to you about that when they see you for the first time, and I don't want that. I don't want people to talk to me. Imagine people always talking to me when they see me and they talk to me about independence of Quebec. I would go crazy. I don't want people to be talking to me about this subject when they see me right off the bat. I think it's just, we can talk about a lot of things. We can talk about that eventually if you'd like. But having a political statement on you is, of course, something you need to think about. And when you're younger, you don't really think about the repercussions that it has in the workplace or with people. But when you grow older, you're like, okay, do I really want people to see that first when they talk to me? Maybe not. So I don't mind getting beautiful decorative pieces, but political things, not my thing anymore. And I think it's a very good idea that I've never actually went for it. Next one's gonna be way less intense, no more political stuff. So this one is the tattoo that I would have gotten at about 18, 19, I think maybe 20, like late teens, early early adulthood, and it was because I had these specific thighs. By the way, this is not a tattoo, these are thighs, and this was thighs I used to have. Of course, thighs like this don't last forever, so I don't have those anymore, but I used to love wearing those, and I was wearing those in shows, and people were coming to me and saying they love my tattoo, and I was like, it's not a tattoo, it's thighs. And it was actually so nice and so well fitting on my leg that I actually wanted it. Was I really serious about it? I don't think so, but I said, yeah, I thought to myself it could be a good idea, maybe in color. Nothing against anybody that has a tattoo like this, but I'm happy I've not gone for it once again because I have other ideas for my legs, and I don't want this tattoo anymore. And it doesn't have much of a signification to me, it's just beautiful, but it's not really a tattoo that I'm appealed to anymore. Last tattoo, and this is one of the tattoos that I've wanted for the longest time. I wanted it for I think about 10 years. It's not even a joke. I'm gonna show you what it is. I still have my old shirt here that I always wear. It's a bit dirty, I'm sorry. It's this symbol, just the O, from the band Uppbeat. If you don't know them, you need to go listen to them because they're amazing. One of my favorite bands of all time. I wanted the symbol, the O, on my leg, I think. When I think about where I wanted it, I think the artist would have told me like, put it somewhere else because it's too small for the amount of detail. I wanted it on the side of my foot. Would have been better on the leg actually. So I kind of knew, and it changed place when I thought about it later on. But actually, I never got it. I never have gotten it, and when I think about it, I don't know where I would put it. I still love it. I still love the O. I still love the band. It has introduced me to a lot of beautiful, amazing music, which is progressive metal, and now I love gent as well, which is in the same, not the same style, but near of it. Where does a O fit well? Like on my knee? On my knee would be actually nice, but it's very big. Like you need to love the band to get that on your knee, like taking the whole knee, too big. Where could I get it? I don't know, because I have an idea for a full sleeve. I have an idea for here. I have an idea for both of my legs and my thighs and behind my thighs and almost my whole body. What's left of my body that I don't have ideas for is like gaps in between the tattoos, or my back, but I think I will eventually want a very big back piece, so I don't know where I would put that. And I don't like Uppbeat enough to get a super big O, their super big symbol, like a big statement that would be bigger than a lot of other of my tattoos. It's just, I love them, but not that much. Band tattoos in general, you really need to love the band for a long time. I think you have to wait. I would wait about a couple of years before I would get a band tattoo, because who knows, the band you loved could change. You could discover things that you didn't know about the band members, you know, things like that. So is it a really good idea? There's nice band tattoos. Actually, I've known a couple of people who had this tattoo or wanted this tattoo, which is fun because it's a very beautiful piece of art, the O from Uppbeat, and I think that's one of the reasons why they never changed the logo throughout the years, because it's just amazing. Now I just want to go listen to some Uppbeat. So that's pretty much it. So that's all of the tattoos that I would have gotten as a teen and later teen, early adulthood, which I have not gotten, and thank God for some of them. Some of them I would probably not regret that much, such as the Elvish one. I'm thinking about which one was not that bad either. The peacock and the Elvish one I think are the ones that I would regret the less, because it's still beautiful art. The other ones, the flying blackbirds here, definitely no. The anonymous, no. And I think the worst of the worst is the lily symbol on the neck, which was one of the first tattoos I've ever wanted, and that's what I wanted as a first tattoo for a long time. Very happy I've not went for that, because oh my god. So that's the video for today. I hope you had a great laugh looking at the things I wanted and did not get. And make good choices. Think a bit about the tattoos you want, and of course don't overthink it either. There's beautiful flashes that tattoo artists have and very nice stuff, and when you're covered your whole body at a certain point, when you have a lot of tattoos, you don't really mind that much. But some statements, such as political statements of course, and some trends, you need to be a bit wary about those, because you never know, life might change you, and life might just change in general. So don't forget to like and subscribe as always, and see you next week.